You want to know something that sickens me to the core about politics and essentially government bodies and things like the UN? It's the inaction. Because as much as it's good to have, again, like a union sort of thing happening, unionization, whatever you call it, like group stuff, the big problem here is it seems to take a long time to even get things done. And it seems like they're voting on things like international law, don't actually fully know what they're doing. It seems very fucking, well, I don't know, like, it's pretentious, the word. It's like they're there to sort of massage egos rather than actually get something done. Nothing proves this further than the lack of action in Palestine, as I've been talking about this for a while. And I think it's important to note because the fact so much damage has been done, I think the statistics are saying like 64,000 dead, 20,000 children, which is fucking horrific, and like millions apparently displaced. Like, it's fucking horrible. And I don't know how it even got this bad, because I would have thought, okay, this seems like an issue. It's like a complete genocide like a few years ago when I first heard of it. It seemed like it was actually happening and it should be done, something should be done about it. I didn't have the knowledge to really address it myself, like what I think of it and what should be done. But holy fuck, it's so just bad because it's gotten this out of hand. Like, weirdly enough, everyone seemed to have flocked to the Ukraine-Russia war quicker than fucking Palestine. Like, it's so broken of a system. And if it just requires like extra votes or something, or like actual like going to UN meetings, whatever the fuck they are for, then it's just broken. It's a busted system. And why wasn't there a country that just compromised on their either laws or just UN policy, whatever it is, doing this? Why couldn't they just fucking intervene anyway? It just makes no sense. From every angle, it's like, stop being fucking like law-abiding people and start doing the morally right thing over anything else. It's just fucking atrocious. Like, come on. I don't get it. Every time it just makes me scratch my head and just think, the fuck is this world coming to? People are idiots, and then we got fucking Keir Starmer in the UK meeting with a war criminal and essentially allowing him to answer questions which we all know he wasn't going to fucking answer, and we should have arrested him because he wasn't going to compromise. And there were also no details on what the fucking conversation had, so we don't know if there was actually any fucking resolutions or anything. And also the same thing, like, this is the other thing about this that gets me. When you have supposedly leaders, I don't consider them leaders, true leaders actually fight alongside their own people and actually give a shit about people. These three I'm about to mention don't. The Israeli president, the US president, obviously Trump, and Putin in Russia. I'd also sort of argue the Chinese president to an extent, but I'm not as educated on their issues as anyone else. I know that China is sort of a communist state and it's bad, but that's all I know. So, using them as an example, these complete idiots do not know how to treat their people, let alone others. And it just sets a bad example for the future. You know, Trump's allowed to say, like, oh, it's all Democrats' fault, it's all trans people's fault. It's like, because he's a fucking president and somebody who can't be held accountable. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, why isn't there anything that can essentially overthrow that? Like, a population vote, for example. Like, yeah, it might be turned down, but at least you know that there's an option. There's an option to get people out. And I remember the Ukraine president actually saying recently, I saw a sort of YouTube short interview thing. He said, if people don't want him as president, then they can feel free to not vote him the next time, or even just ask him to step down. That's what you should see in someone who's running a country. Like, that's just so fucking honest and down to earth as well. And it's just crazy that these others won't do it, and it's not just Trump, it's Putin that's fucking saying weird shit and doing weird shit, provoking NATO now. It's just fucking nuts. And Israel, of course, just being Israel. But the thing with Israel is the things they're saying about Palestine or Gaza. I don't actually know what to throw it to. Just say Gaza for the moment. But they keep saying that Hamas has no innocent people. And when I looked into this on the various news sources, unfortunately, news sources are very biased towards Israel because they can't actually rationally look at things. But there's one source that actually debunks those claims, and essentially it meant that there wasn't any proof for the things that the news were claiming, which is like Hamas is a terrorist state. And also these terrorists weren't actually from Hamas, is the conclusion I saw. So it's almost like it's sort of plotted from the start, and somehow this didn't raise any red flags for anyone. Hello? Yeah, but it gets worse because apparently what happened on October the 7th was a cause for doing all this shit now, where they're killing tons of people, displacing tons of people, and apparently they're gonna fucking, I don't know, like, so there's like a hurricane coming, which is not a weather warning, it's actually a figure of speech about how they're going to wipe out Gaza, which is fucking horrifying, and also this doesn't raise alarms for anyone, which is bizarre. It didn't raise alarms for the UN when that first appeared. Okay, but no, that isn't the thing that really gets me with this. It's the fact they can say this fucking horrific shit with no evidence. Like, they're not held accountable by anyone. And this was apparent from the start. And that's just why it's so bad. Basically they're saying that Hamas doesn't have any innocent people, and that is their only excuse for doing all this genocide. For hurting people, for displacing them and killing children. And just destroying the entire place, like burning it to the ground. And this happened a few years ago, by the way. You know, if I'd heard of something like this, I would have immediately said, what fucking evidence do you have? Because regardless of my agreements or disagreements with specific religions, the fact remains that if it is terrorism, then why the hell is this the only example? You know, a reliable source requires multiple, it requires more evidence. But no, they didn't do that. So, yeah, they're literally terrorists. It fucking sucks, man. I mean, Israel terrorists. But whether people acknowledge it again is a different story. And again, it's just a really sad situation for Palestine. Because no help came, despite everything that was happening. And you know, it feels like government saying, oh, it's not my business, it's not my place to intervene in a religious war. Fuck off. Grow some balls. You shouldn't be in power if you're thinking something like that, or even just saying it and acting on that. It's just fucking ridiculous. It just baffles me how just stupid all these leaders are in the UN and stuff. It's just so bad. Like, come on. There's obvious issues here, and with it, even a little bit of critical thinking, you can literally figure it out. It's just so bad. So yeah. So that's really all I've got to say here for the moment. Yeah. I'm going to continue playing Final Fantasy 14, and if you can't tell, I'm playing it whilst speaking. I'm just so pissed off about the situation, and apparently they've done something. They've apparently they're going into action now about Palestine. They're considering it as a state of its own, and that's going to help somehow, but they're not giving aid from what I can tell. Okay, as people in the comments said of that, like, it's a bit too late for that now. Like, yeah, it's just, oh god, I don't get it all the time. It's just so bafflingly bad. You know, everyone has their idea of what's right in their heads, but it's not always right. Let's be honest. That's why it needs to be criticised and obviously applied to critical thinking and stuff. And just use basic empathy. Like, that's the thing. This is what you'd realise with Hamas shit. It's like, you're committing a genocide because of one terrorist attack. One. And look at other countries. They have terrorist attacks. Like, not all the time, but similarly. And what do? They don't fucking purge an entire fucking city for out of fucking country. Like, what? It's just, the line of logic just doesn't make any sense, and you just realise that these people shouldn't be in power. Jesus Christ. Thanks for listening. See everyone another time.